Hello, everybody. Welcome to our conference right now. I'm Carlo Kant. Nice to talk to you all. I'm the managing director of BDC. BDC is a consulting company teaming up with brands and retailers for their digital acceleration on omnichannel. I'm very happy to have along myself today Jessica and Mitro for our conference around why e-commerce becomes a top priority for retailers. So, ladies first, maybe we leave a bit of time to Jessica to introduce herself. No problem with that, Mitro? Are you fine with that?
Yeah, well, thank you very much to be among you guys as well. Well, in regards about my background, well, about me, I'm half Japanese, half Latino, to be Bolivian specific, but I'm British because I was raised there. My company is from Finland, and currently right now I'm talking to you guys from Costa Rica. So it's 4:15 in the morning here, but hey, that's part of the e-commerce side as well, which we'll talk later. So in regards to my professional background, I co-founded a company called Testback at the age of 24 years old. We developed energy solutions for United Nations, for governmental entities, and rescue teams and NGOs. But at the same time, we created solar smart backpacks that can charge from your mobile devices all the way to your laptops. So in that sense, we had to learn and tackle the B2B side, the B2C side, and the B2M side, the B2G side. So in that sense, we had to learn everything from e-commerce, but tackling different fields. So in that sense, hopefully my experience and many ups and downs or, will help you as well to utilize it to your advantage in your company.
Good. Well, I mean, coming from Japan, Bolivia, with such a global background, I can understand why you have such a passion for backpacking. So that's very clear. You have a natural lead for that. Now, Mitro, maybe welcome also.
Thank you. Well, a few words about me. I'll start from now and go to the past. Now I'm managing marketing side for New Balance in Ukraine. Before that, I was managing marketing and retail for the local subsidiary of L'Occitane, a French cosmetic and skincare brand. Spent there around 7 years. So it was quite a nice time when we developed actually, what happened with L'Occitane and Ukraine was all before my eyes. And it was an e-commerce launch, a social media rise, and all this fun stuff. Not even looking at the network growth. I mean, offline network. Before L'Occitane, it was hotel industry, and long before that, it was also sales and marketing, but in the HoReCa section, in the restaurant automatization. So let's say I'm quite familiar with what many industries need, and trying to apply all this experience to what I do now. I actually haven't started any startup yet. So Jessica, you are
never too late.
You'll be
never too late.
Well, but actually, I think I might start some consulting and marketing company. Well, maybe I have a few interesting projects. Just maybe they will come to life. Who knows?
Okay, sounds good. So coming back to our topic, by the way, for all the participants, if ever you have questions, we'll be more than happy to answer the questions during the call. I think you have the possibility to send us some questions. Maybe we won't be able to answer all the questions, but at least we'll try to pick some, and I have on my screen the possibility to see the questions. So feel free to ask during the conversation when we talk about the various topics. We'll have about 3 to 4 topics that we'll discuss with Jessica and Mitro during the call. My first one, when we were given the topic why e-commerce becomes a top priority for retailer, was to think about what's the main difference between offline retail and e-commerce. And the first thing that came to my mind was around data, maybe, and data acquisition. So to a certain extent, it's good to get data, but what do you do with data in your company, each of you? Maybe Jessica, you can start to give us an overview of what can be said around data at TestPack.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think before we start with that, I will it's good to kind of differentiate what is the data that retail receives and what is the data that e-commerce has to get to kind of understand and how they kind of support each other later on, which we will discuss. Well, when you go to a retail store, you use your 5 senses, right? You have an expert there to kind of assist you with your inquiries. It's easier for you to understand, and you don't really, as you know, where the customer is coming from, you gather all this data. With the e-commerce side, it opens a new world for so much information that perhaps you couldn't observe before, such as where is the customer coming from, what do they like, what age, the demographics, which later on you can utilize this in order to personalize the information provided to the customer. I'll give you an example, for example, with TestPack. In the beginning, as we sell solar energy backpacks, we used to get people that were entrepreneurs, and with entrepreneurs, they travel around the world, they have to go to many business meetings. So for them, it was more appealing, the idea of traveling constantly and having a battery for them to charge the laptop and work on a plane. At the same time, with people that they were more scientific, because we have scientists that travel to Antarctica, it wasn't the fact that they can actually utilize it on a plane. It wasn't the fact like what happens if you go to Antarctica and you reach minus 50 degrees, what happens to the battery? So it was more like the danger or the capacity of your device. So in that sense, it was easy to kind of see from what channels they were coming from and design let's say the landing page according to the language or the appealingness of the customer. So it was customizable, in other words.
Okay, so personalization, a hot topic for you at TestPack. Mitro, what about you?
In a few words, the personalization is also a main topic for New Balance as well, because what data are for? The reason why the retailer was collecting the data is to personalize the services, not only to know the names and numbers of the customers, but to provide the personalized service as the first priority. Like if I would know that a certain consumer coming to my website is fancy of running, and moreover, it's fancy of trail running, then I would surely give him the selection of the goods he would need first. And then, of course, I would show him or her the rest of assortment. And that's the main reason the data exists, I think, for us as a retailers, at least. For many other people.
Sure.
But we will talk about the retailers, I think.
Sorry, please finish.
Yeah. And we try to collect data whenever possible. I would not go into technical details like cookies and pixels and whatsoever. But anyway, any data source is good. But at least we don't buy someone else's data, because I believe this is not what reasonable people should do. And now, me personally, I would not be happy like if someone will sell my data to someone and they will try to sell me the product I'm not interested in. So that's a taboo for normal people, I think.
Question to both of you. Actually, we have, as far as we are concerned, a customer in the cosmetics industry who told us that actually he was able to measure also the performance of products, the impact on either acquisition or on loyalty, to see if a product was a product that could retain customer or product that could attract new customers. Is it also something that you share and you work actively with the product management team also to give them the feedback about what you can see, what you can read in the data to influence also the product strategy in your company?
Jessica?
Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Actually, yes, data is a massive, a big player in our company, actually. The reason for this is we work innovating products, and that's part of our success. I mean, we have won 30 international awards, and we were nominated as the best energy startup by the European Union for our innovations. But our secret was understanding what consumers wanted. And how did we do this? It was by them purchasing and understanding what was the most popular product, and also doing focus groups from that product and understanding what was the reason behind it. So I think, and also there was a study done that which they asked many marketeers that if they would have extra budget, where would they spend it? And 32% they actually said acquiring data, because data is a tool that gives you the differentiation from your competitors, and it's a magic power for you to destroy them. I know it sounds a very powerful word to destroy them, but it's true, because in a sense you're actually competing 24/7, and it's like throwing money just blindly without not knowing where the money is going. And if you're a startup, especially with COVID happening at the moment, every single penny it's valuable, and you really need to know where to spend it and which channels, and that's why the data is there for.
Sounds good. Mitro, any point also?
Yeah, I would add a few words. First of all, I totally agree with Jessica, and for the influence the product strategy. As a local market, we cannot really influence the global product strategy, of course. Of course, we have products that is available on our market, and some products that are not available or not relevant. But with the available assortment, of course, we do these studies. Like when we have launches, we always see which product. We always look what product drew more attention among the others. And of course, then the next campaign we would plan having this insight in mind.
Sounds good. Well, talking about audience, I mean, I like to give a focus and specifically thinking about Testpack. Testpack is a company from Finland. We all know it's a huge e-commerce market in Finland. And I can imagine that moving cross-border and having a global reach, and specifically with your specific product, being some technical products and some products also for the mobility, going cross-border was something very native in your company. Can you maybe comment on that and how you've reached new audience and how you've made decision to go global with your products?
Yeah, sure. I mean, right now we live in a global, I mean, everything is about globalization nowadays, and everything is going digital. So if you're not going digital, pretty much you're living in the past, because digital is the present, it is the future. So at the same time, our target audience, it was people who traveled. So, and people who were techie and savvy, people that love technology and so forth. So we had to, at the same time, part of something that we realized, it was our products were needed in South America, so in places where there wasn't energy. So it wasn't just like a luxurious product where you can actually utilize and charge your devices. That's the reason that we started going from the B2C side to the B2B side, and and then to the B2G side with governments, because we realized many people, they weren't even having the equal education. And what do I mean by this? They were just provided books, and then we decided to create a backpack that it had batteries, modular batteries, when you attach them, they were created into a massive power station, and you could actually recharge projectors, speakers, your laptop, and convert any space into a smart classroom. So we saw a potential of providing our tools, but kind of adapting them to their environment. But with the e-commerce, but now just mainly talking about the e-commerce side, we realized that it was our way to not being, first of all, the cost would actually drop. You didn't really need to have so much capital to place a store and exhibit your devices. You could just do it, through an e-commerce site.
Was there any constraint to go global, or were there some shortfalls and difficulties? I don't know, maybe in the payments, in the delivery, and unexpected things that issues you had to tackle, or was it fairly easy, to your opinion?
I would like to say it was like a fairy tale with ponies and everything, but no, it wasn't. It was a complete nightmare, which I think if anyone is thinking of branching out, going to different places, you really, really need to know about legislations, logistics, whether it makes sense, because sometimes it would actually eat your profit more than even bring you, profit. So, for example, certain countries, just talking about customs, just to give you an idea, I know we don't sell cars, but I will give you an idea. Here in Costa Rica, you have to pay 110% to bring a car. Also, like, you have to pay double the price, even more than double the price of the car, which is insane. Another thing that we realized as well, it was legislations or banking policies as well. That just to give you an idea, if you have a USA store or e-commerce store and you have a German person trying to purchase something from there, some e-commerce stores will have to reject the purchase because it is not allowed to record those database, to record the data, unless you follow certain protocols. So Amazon is allowed because perhaps they know the law and they know how to record the data safely. But if you're a small e-commerce and you don't have massive lawyers that will help you, assist you in the process, it will be a nightmare. Another thing as well that it is important for me to mention it here for anyone that's trying to go with the e-commerce side as well, is that there's a lot of fraud going on, that you may receive the purchase, but it doesn't mean that, and then you ship a product, and then it doesn't mean that the money will stay there. After 3 days, it can be deducted because it's been a fraud payment. So there's so many protocols that it doesn't just involve marketing. I mean, I would like to say it's just about purchasing and showing, exhibiting the images pretty and knowing where your customer comes. But with e-commerce, it's another different ballgame. You really need to know laws about how to record the data, logistics, also making sure that you break down the costs in order for you to make a profit and not a loss. Because sometimes the logistic costs will be higher than the actual product you're selling. So,
yeah. Very interesting. Mitro, thinking about your business and specifically the specific of position of New Balance in the footwear industry, but also the distribution, which was originally very much driven by offline retailers and wholesale retailers, multi-brands. Now we talk a lot about omnichannel seamless experience. Everything needs to be smooth and easy for the customer. But on your side, I mean, you have to manage a brand, you have to manage your own website, you have multi-brand retailers that we talk about. We know price is an issue. I mean, of course, you have to balance between your profit and your multi-brands retailers' profit, selling the same products and so on. How does it work? How does it work?
Well, globally, of course, yes. In Ukraine, we do have our own website, our own doors, and bigger retailers, multi-brand stores like in Europe, it's JD and the Foot Locker, and we have similar types of the stores, but their names would not say to you anything. Of course, we try to have a price parity between all that, because customers are usually not very happy to come to New Balance store and to see that the product they would like to buy costs higher than next door in the multi-brand store, and we are not happy with such. So yes, we always negotiate a price parity with our wholesalers, so they maintain the price which is recommended by global office and by us. So of course, sometimes it happens that prices go up and down in some retailers. It can happen online or offline or whatever, but we try to react as fast as we can. We try to monitor, and usually last time it happened, it took half an hour to have the price put back to normal. So I think that's a good one. That's a good example, and it was online. Sorry, it wasn't on offline.
So it means for you that in order to provide some seamless experience, you get the feeling that multi-brand retailer or distributors of New Balance and yourself work more actively together, and that the relationship to provide the best customer experience is moving forward in a good direction. You see more synchronization.
For the seamless experience, we achieved that with our own doors and our own website because of the same assortment, same launch dates, and so on. On the on wholesale doors, there are some different. They have different models, different products, sometimes different colors. Sometimes they are specific to some retailer, and the seamlessness, if I may say it, is achieved by creating a brand space inside this wholesaler. Like this year, we launched a pilot project of shop in shop, or a branded corner in one of our wholesale clients. By now, we have 4 or 5 of them installed already. They are not ideal, of course, as this is just a first step, but it's already drawing attention of the consumers, and I think the brand is even out of our own store. We have the standard of brand presentation maintained, and that's which fascinates the client as well, and because they have same level of presentation, same level of visual merchandising, and so on.
Okay, sounds good. We've been talking so far, and coming back to our headline for the conversation, why e-commerce becomes a top priority for retailer. Of course, we can't avoid the question of the context we've been going through since March in Europe specifically, a bit longer if we talk about Asia and so on. So the COVID context is possibly also a good reason for each of the retailer to speed up on the e-commerce. But again, coming back also to retail, which has been the biggest share of commerce for retailers, if we make the exception of your players, of course. So what's today's value proposal, to your opinion, of retail versus e-commerce? We see so many things moving in the good direction in e-commerce. You mentioned data acquisition and working on data. You mentioned also personalization and so on. How can offline retail survive in a world of e-commerce priority for retailers?
Well, I can answer that. In Ukraine, we have experienced a lockdown for 3 months, which all the shopping centers closed. Well, you all know this stuff in Europe. It was the same story. And the e-commerce was the only channel that we were able to use in terms of the sales process. And then after the government allowed shopping centers to reopen, the shops to reopen, and the local businesses to reopen, in Ukraine there is an adaptive quarantine, which different levels of restrictions depending on how many COVID cases you have in certain region. So mainly all the country is opened. And what I wanted to say is, when the malls were opened, people were so happy to have this feeling of touch, when you can touch, when you can try it on, when you can just browse the store, whenever you wear a mask, doesn't matter. You have only some people per square meter, doesn't matter. That's the leisure. That's a kind of leisure. Someone going to the cinemas, someone going to shopping centers. The shopping itself is a way that excites people. Just the process of shopping, and that's the brick and mortar would never lose.
Mm-hmm.
The feel of the product and the feel of the live communication with the shop assistant, where you can, a question arrived, I can ask it right now and show it on the product. Come on, show me where exactly this amortization is, and where this ribbon plate comes from. So here we have live product.
Talking about your product, Jessica, I mean, you've got a technological product which is not easy to understand maybe through the web. So I can imagine that also having the ability to chat or to talk with someone about the product itself and the features is also very, very important.
I think 6 years ago, it was a lot harder than now. I'm actually very happy that people know more about solar energy nowadays, and how everything works. But nowadays, and which is the main reason that we had to partner up with big retailers like Microsoft, Intersports, Scandinavian Outdoors, in order because people wanted to feel the product. They wanted to experience. It was also, I mean, you can see a backpack, but what is the texture like? Are they using like Cordura, which is the best fabric in order to utilize in places where it's very humid and so forth. And also, what people get in a store, it's an assurance that you will get the right product for you, because you have, right now AI is not really something very advanced, something that can actually tailor you the product. There will be an expert at the store telling you, okay, according to your height and according to your likes, I suggest these are the things. So you don't need to think anymore. You are assured that you will get the right product. And that's what people want, and that's the reason people go shopping. Apart from the reason that Dimitri mentioned, of course, shopping, it's part of a sport for some people. So people want to experience stuff with the 5 senses. Also, it's the human way that we were built, to socialize. And if they take us away from that, it's like taking us from our habitat, because we were engineered to socialize, and that's why people have gone crazy with this pandemic, that they also have gone to the stores, and even governments have to create more protocols, because and funnily enough, sales have also completely went up the sky, because people were also bored and started shopping as well on e-commerce. And unfortunately, the people that they weren't on the e-commerce side, they lost so many customers. And the people who were already forecasting and seeing how the future is, pretty much acquired the competitors' clients because they were ready for it. But I think at the moment, in my opinion, I think there will always have to be that combination, especially if you have an innovative product or hardware like Dimitro's shoes. People need to see how it looks on them. You can't picture it through an image unless you have an avatar that looks like you and can actually wear the shoes. And you forget about the hassle of having to put it on 1,000 shoes.
Yeah, sounds good. Still, I mean,
Carl.
Yes,
Sorry.
sure. Please.
I might add to Jessica. Jessica. The avatars and all this virtual reality stuff. Well, maybe within 5 to 10 years, we'll be able to put some glove on and go touch some virtual merchandising and so on. That would be good. But anyway, that would never ever replace the feel of going going and shopping, and then after so on my watch, oh my god, that was a half marathon and only one shopping mall. So yeah, that would never replace that feeling. We have a startup in Ukraine that does some augmented reality stuff that you can try on the stuff that is presented on the online merchandise. But okay, nothing much funny, but I don't know. Will it work?
Okay. We've seen so many innovation in e-commerce, but do you think that e-commerce can also help offline retail to reinvent itself? I'll give 2 examples. I mean, I've seen recently a company like Leroy Merlin, maybe the leader in Europe for do-it-yourself retail. They've started to push heavily on commerce streaming, to give example of how to use a driller and how to repair your house on some topics and so on, and really to support their offline operation and make also people on the website understand better how to leverage the products and how to run a repair or renovation project. And also, ultimately, what we've seen and what we measure in my company with our customer is that still, I mean, it's so easy to get a delivery at home, but still click and collect is so hot right now at retailers. So what's your opinion on that? Do you agree with that, or am I totally wrong and it's only my customers having the focus on that?
Well, in my opinion, I think it is the future. People want to experience, people want to be part of it. And also, how much time do we spend digitally staring at our screens? And if you look at the statistics, it's 3 times more than before. Hence why we're actually selling more batteries nowadays, because people run out of battery a lot faster than previous times. Before, with Nokia phones, it used to last for 1 week. Nowadays, it's only like 4 hours, and with the GPS, Facebook, and so many applications that you have, pretty much die. So I think it's also understanding consumer behavior and also how society is actually working, and everything it's digital. People want to learn, people want to understand how everything, whether they can actually make themselves the experience. And also, before, it wasn't available for people to actually learn, or make it easy for people to have access to the content. So in that sense, I think it's part of engaging consumers. For example, on our site, we do courses for people that go to Antarctica on how to maintain the energy in places where it's 30 degrees, because batteries run out of battery a lot faster when you reach a certain temperature. So we show tips on how not to run out of battery and how to create their own energy solutions and so forth. So in that sense, it's good to engage customers.
If you don't mind, it seems we have 4 questions already, 4 key questions, and I will summarize the question and start with question number 1. So, what was the main acquisition channel for retailers moving 100% to e-commerce when COVID lockdown happened? So, COVID lockdown, maybe Mitro? Sorry?
It was social media.
Social media. Yeah. Hot
everyone. When everyone is locked in their own houses, it's TV, social media, and nothing more. So social media is the top priority because TV, the classic TV, is nowadays are losing to VOD services like all this Netflix and all the Amazon Prime stuff, but it's easier to recruit and acquire customers in social media because whatever they do, they would share it to social media anyway.
Just to add on to what Dimitri said, I would actually say whether you consider YouTube as social media, because at the same time, part of the new TV is YouTube, and you can actually create placements according to what people are looking for. For example, how to recharge your devices in places in remote areas, and then you can actually place your advertisement there because you have a very well segmented area. I think, I completely fully agree. Social media, it is the best place, but also I think what many marketeers are not really taking full advantage is YouTube. If YouTube is a massive conversion tool, if you know how to utilize and where to place the advertisement.
Agree. We've got next question, which was around Click and Collect, one of our latest topic. Click and Collect is growing. Do you think on offering the service 24/7 in physical shops? If you don't mind, I'll give my opinion on that. And basically, what I feel is that we've seen lockers developing, and ultimately, I think it could be a good solution, alternative to opening stores 24/7, which is a cost. I mean, it's a human cost, and I'm not sure retailers can live with that. And ultimately, what I see also is that we talk a lot about next day delivery and so on, but when I see Click and Collect at my customers, customers don't always come right after the delivery to the store. So it takes them sometimes 3 to 4 days to come and collect the product. And ultimately, they always come at the opening hours, not 5 minutes before closing and so on. I mean, it didn't change too much the behavior. So I don't think 24/7 would be great added value for customers. However, if you have lockers in the portfolio of services you offer, I mean, people who want to have 24/7 will go for that. My personal opinion.
I would agree with that because it's not that many possible orders that would be picked up during the night. Then the cost of having this would be much higher, and the positive effect on sales of them. And moreover, if you have doors inside the mall itself is closed, so you have to have the separate the street retail, and then that's not always the case.
Yeah.
No, and I completely agree. I think you really need to see at the costs in order to obviously create more profit. Actually, Asia has these lockers where you can they provide your code and your products will be there for you to deliver it to avoid human costs. But then again, if you have any groceries and so forth, it's gonna go bad if you don't have them refrigerated and so forth. So, and here in, let's say, in certain countries, what they've done for the COVID, it's to kind of create certain hours for older elderly people, and at the same time pregnant people, with disabilities as well, in order to have them come and pick up the products to avoid large crowds and so forth. So there's many ways to support or strategies to support this problem.
Next question was, e-commerce is growing. How do we ensure to have products brands customer migrate completely from physical store to e-commerce? What are the strategies you use to migrate the customers from physical stores to e-commerce? I'll give one of my vision for that. Ultimately, you'd better keep them omni-channel, because I think the customer value, if customer is both offline and online, is better to having him fully offline or fully online. And I've got data specifically on that from my customers. Sometimes the value of omni-channel customers is up to 3 times higher than the value of mono-channel customers. So believe me, if you want to migrate them purely to online, beware if it's not a negative impact. I mean, of course, you will save on the rent, on the people, whatsoever, but, I'm not too sure it's a good strategy.
Well, I could say about that, sorry. There's no sense at the moment, at this point of time, not only the COVID, not only 2020, in that period of time, there's no sense to force the migration to the e-commerce only, because you still have the offline stores. And these 2 channels should complement each other and provide omni-channel experience. Okay, right. Now I have the time to go to the physical store, I will. The next time I need that delivered to, whatever, to myself, to Locker or Click and Collect within a few hours. So I just using my mobile phone, I'm stuck in the traffic, I'm using my mobile phone, I will pick up that in 5 minutes or 5 hours. Got it.
Yeah.
And that depends on the situation, how you use, when to use such any channel. Now it's convenient to use online. Now it's convenient to use offline. And I was actually amazed by, you all know how Amazon started. It was an online bookstore. I recently encountered a picture of an Amazon bookstore on brick and mortar.
Yeah, well, you can't force customers anyway to buy somewhere. I mean, they have the freedom and they make the choice ultimately. We've got one more question, which is also very important. How do you ensure an online shopping experience is homogeneous to the offline in-store experience? Well, here, I would say maybe to a certain extent, it's part of the journey. The customer journey goes offline, online, and so on, from thinking about considering the product to sale and so on. And the point is, beyond being homogeneous, is really to look at the journey and look at the frictions. And if there is a friction, whether it's a friction offline or online, focus on that, and maybe how do you get less friction? I would focus on that. I mean, ultimately, I'm not sure the point is to be fully inline or deliver the same online and offline, but make sure that this journey, online, offline, and so on, is seamless and where the customer wants, actually, because he's the one purchasing. But Jessica, maybe you can add on that.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I think instead of saying just one channel is better than the other, I think sometimes they just support each other, and it's like 2 hands, especially with things that are very complex to understand, or whether it's something that you wear, whether it's something innovative like such as technology and like devices, electronics. You really need to go and see it and experience it yourself than just looking at plain specifications. I mean, we are visual creatures and we also need to understand it. So for me, in order to have a successful e-commerce strategy, I think you have to have something in store for people to see it. That's the reason we also collaborate with other stores, like what's it called, with Scandinavian Outdoors, Microsoft, because we understand that people really need to feel the product and see it work. So in that sense, I will never tell anyone to abolish certain things unless it's something that the consumer knows so well of, like the texture, how everything works, like paper, okay? because you know how everything, you know how it looks, what you need, and it's just for you to get delivered. But when it comes to other stuff, like don't risk it, because you're losing some customers.
Sounds good. Well, we've got only a few seconds to go, so I'd like to thank you very much for that. And well, I think the seamless experience will be anyway to have New Balance shoes and a test pack for the trip. I'm sure all customers will enjoy that. It's been very interactive. Thank you, Dmitry. You can do a bit of advertising, no problem with that.
Wow, I'll just
and
even more if you want.
There will be a break, and we'll be back at 2:45 with why and how retailers have to innovate. So thank you to all the participants. You can have a short lunch or break until it continues with Melting Lab in the afternoon, and it was a great time. Thank you to all participants for the question. We remain available. You can contact us through the social networks, LinkedIn or whatsoever, and I'm sure Melting Lab will be able to connect with all of you and the three of us. So thank you for the time.
Take care, guys.
Yeah.
Take
See
care.
ya.